Hi, I'm Dale Schweeman with the Schweeview. Today's topic is going to be Confederate monuments. This is a topic that right now is not a big issue to anybody. For a while, it was the hot point of our country. Things have calmed down. Now I'm going to put my view in on it. The Confederate monuments have managed to do just what everything else in our country does and turn into a racial split war, with the white community defending them as being heritage and part of our history, and the black community going with their racist and part of our history. Well, I'm going to tell you you're both right and you're both wrong. But the biggest key is you're wrong. The Confederate monuments have no place in our country. It's not because of our heritage, and it's not because of racism. It's because of history. How did the Confederate monuments come to be? We were one country, the United States of America. We had a civil war. There is debate, constant debate, over what the root of the Civil War was over, whether it was for slavery, states' rights, independence, for whatever other reason. Those are all moot points. The fact of the matter is we had a civil war in which the southern states seceded from the United States of America. They actually fully separated. They created a constitution. They created and voted in an established government, a working government that had a president. They established an army. And that army, by directive of their president, took up arms and came against the United States of America. That country, the United Confederate States of America, took up arms. They killed United States citizens. They killed United States military personnel. They crossed their created border and came onto the soil of the United States and killed and destructed property of the United States. This matter should not even be being discussed. The Japanese brought their military might against the United States of America. They bombed Pearl Harbor. They created destruction and death upon the U.S. soil. There's no way anybody would ever accept and or justify us putting up a monument to any Japanese soldier at all. This case is closed. There is no heritage argument. There's no racial argument. If you want to fight for the heritage concept, that's up to you, but you're doing it for all the wrong reasons, because you'll be mad at the Japanese and you'll be mad at the Muslims. The Muslims being the ones that bombed Pearl Harbor, or the Twin Towers. You're mad at anybody that comes against the United States now, but you're going to wrap yourself in the blanket of heritage to defend the individuals who came against the United States then. Our country is still the United States of America. We still have 50 states. It's more than we had at the time of the Civil War. But the point is, we're still in existence. We're still one of the richest and strongest countries in the whole world. We have issues with our human rights. We have issues with our own racial rights. We have a lot of issues to deal with. But one thing we don't have to deal with is the Civil War is over. The United States, the North, won. The South lost. In our country, you have rights. And if you want to tote the Confederate flag, you have the right to do so. If you want to tote or put up some sort of items pertaining to the Civil War on your soil or in your personal property, you have the right to do so. However, as a government, our government is not obligated, nor should it even entertain the thoughts of having any type of association with any monuments, memorabilia, names, pictures, or anything of anybody from the Civil War or any states from the Civil War. We are the United States. We are not the Confederate States. We do not need monuments to remind us that there was individuals who created treasonous acts and brought death and destruction upon this country. That's not part of the healing process. That's a continued part of the wound. We should be a proud country, a country that's respectful of all. Yes, some of our ancestors died in that war, but keep in mind, somebody's ancestors died in 9/11 also. Somebody's ancestors died in Pearl Harbor. Right is right, wrong is wrong. You can love your ancestors, but keep in mind, it was a civil war in which treason was committed. This was not just a bad day at a family picnic. This was treason. Was it racist? Is it racist to have the memorial Civil War monuments? We have the right to be able to look at it that way. Some of your ancestors died because of it. However, the bottom line is, the argument is not racist. The argument is not heritage. The argument is treason. I would like to see our country come together for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. We don't need to insult each other. We don't need to go to the far extent of anger and frustration to argue our points. Sometimes it's okay to look right down the middle. We don't have to pick sides based on who's right or who's wrong, based on who's white or who's black. Base it on the historical facts. The Civil War was a foreign country coming after the United States. Treasonous act. No monuments, no personnel, no parts of the flag should be displayed as a hold on to our ancestors, the ancestors that brought treason against us. We want to talk about who died. Keep in mind, if they had not created the thought process to separate, if they had not created the thought process to take up war against the United States, they would not have died in that war. We would not have had a civil war. It was decades building for the Civil War. It could have been diffused had people been willing to respect other human beings and their rights to be human beings. But people in office, people in power, people with money, and some of those people were not, they did not have money. Some were educated, most were not. They chose to go to war in order to continue a separate way of life than what the United States of America, the northern states, wanted to pursue. It was a very hard decision for the United States government to have to make that call to go to war. It's always a hard call to go to war when you're protecting your people. But now here we are, hundreds of 150 years later, still battling over the memories and the solutions to this war. Simple. There should be no monuments, no pictures, no plaques, no historical promoting of the individuals who caused this much hate, this much death, and this much destruction at that time. And they're still succeeding in causing hate, death, and destruction. We view Civil War monuments not necessary simply because of treason. I thank you. Have a good day.